So in our engineering drawings we can create files that contain multiple pages, or as Creo refers to them, multiple sheets. So within one drawing file you can have any number of sheets, either showing different views of the same part, or you can put different parts or assemblies on each sheet. So in this tutorial we're just going to look at ways of managing sheets. So that's creating new sheets, copying sheets, deleting them, changing their name, just the management of sheets generally in Creo. So you're going to want to set your working directory into drawing sheets, and then load in this drawing sheets file as well. So I'm just going to do that. I've already set my working directory. So I'm going to load in that drawing sheets file. There it is. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to have a look at the sheets that are already in this drawing. So you can see down at the bottom here you'll get the display showing you how many sheets are in the particular drawing and what these sheets have been named as. So we've just got a sheet 1 name and a sheet 2 there. So if I hover over them, you can see that I'm getting a little preview just above my cursor of what they look like. And if I click on sheet 2, you can see that my drawing tree changes to show all the views contained within sheet 2 only. So if I click back on sheet 1, you can see that these views refer to the views that I'm looking at now on sheet 1. So that's the first thing. You can activate a sheet that's shown in these tabs, and then you're editing that sheet and no longer looking at the other one. You can also see here that the system keeps track of how many sheets I've got in a document. So if you think of these as pages of the document, if I insert some more sheets here, it keeps a running tally of how many sheets in total, and it also keeps a record of how the sheets are positioned relative to each other. So this is sheet 2 because it's positioned after this sheet here, whereas if I click on there, that's sheet 1. So next we're just going to create a new sheet in this document. So if you see up here, you've got the new sheet option that you can use. So just click on there. Because we're using this specific sheet format that's been provided for us, it automatically asks us our name, because that's what gets entered in this drawn by box down here. But you don't have to enter anything in there initially. You can go back and fill that in later. So if you just click on OK, it'll just enter a blank in there for the time being. So you can see now that sheet 3 has been added to this document. Let's say we don't want to call that sheet 3. If we right click on the tab that's just been created, we can select name there. You can see that there's various other options in there. We can also access the new sheet menu from in here rather than clicking on the button up here like we did. And there's move and copy and delete or select all sheets. But we want to rename this one at this point, and we're just going to call it new because it's a new sheet. And let's say we don't want it in position 3. We don't want it in the 3rd position in this document. We want it in the middle there. So you can just click and hold down the left mouse button, and then you can drag it to where you require it in your overall drawing document. So you can see sheet 1, as it's called, is still in 1st position. Our new sheet, as we've called it, is now in position 2, and the sheet that was originally sheet 2 still has the same name, because that's just a text entry that's been put in there. It's now in 3rd position. So we're just going to rename these other sheets as well, just so it's not as confusing. So we'll rename this sheet 2. We'll call it something relating to the part that it's showing. So I think we'll just call it ANG for angle guide. And I think we'll do the same with sheet 1. If we rename that, and because it starts with cylinder, I think we'll call it Sil. So now they have names kind of reflecting what they are, and we've got them in the positions that we want. So now we're going to copy an existing sheet. So you want to select the angle guide sheet as a starting point. and then we can use move or copy up here, or we could right click on the sheet itself and you get access to the same command. It's just a slightly quicker way of doing it. So move or copy, and then it's going to make a copy of the sheet that we're looking at, and it's saying where do you want to insert this new copy, and I think we'll insert it after the sheet that we're looking at. So if we select this last sheet, this ANG, and then we just, rather than move it, we are creating a copy of it, so we need to select that and then hit OK. You can see that it doesn't create the sheet initially. It's asking us again to enter our name, and again we're just going to leave that blank, and now you can see that it's created a sheet with the default name of sheet 4, but it's actually a copy of the angle sheet. Doesn't quite have all the dimensions because they've not been imported yet, but the views certainly have been copied from the other sheet. So say you want to delete a sheet, we don't need 2 copies of this ANG sheet, so we're going to delete this sheet 4. If you just right click on the sheet itself, and there's a delete option in there. So we've deleted that now. You can even have different sheet formats within a single document. So whereas these 2 original sheets, this one and this one, share the same format, if you wanted a slightly different format or a slightly different sheet size for this new one that we've created, you can do that quite easily. If you click on the size of the sheet there, double click on it, it brings you into the sheet setup dialog, and then if you select the current format, just click on it, you get the drop down arrow option here, and you can pick one of the other default sizes in the system. Let's pick just a standard C size sheet without our title block and everything that we've been given on this one. Hit OK, and then basically the system says, I've noticed on the current format that you've put these custom tables in with all this information. Would you like to retain them using the new format, or would you like to get rid of them and maybe recreate? So we're going to say remove all, and you can see it's highlighted them in red, and we're happy with that. So now we've got a new fresh sheet with an empty format that we can then do what we need to do with.